Okay, to start, we take 2 potatoes to start with, and we are first going to wash them, and then we are going to peel the 2 potatoes. Be careful when peeling potatoes, as you're using a sharp knife and you can easily cut yourself. It's hard with big hands peeling small potatoes. But since it's only a single serving meal, 2 potatoes are sufficient. A little bit about a potato. They are the most popular tubular vegetables in the world. Potatoes are available in hundreds of varieties, which vary in size, shape, taste, color, and starch content. Potatoes contain 20% of indigestible starch, which makes it necessary to cook them in some manner before consuming. Potatoes can be cooked using most any cooking method. They are also converted into commercial products such as potato chips, instant mashed potatoes, canned potatoes, frozen products, including French fries, hash browns, and stuffed baked potatoes. Potatoes are often served as a side dish to meat and poultry, but they also can be used as a significant ingredient in many dishes, like this one, as well as stews, soups, scalloped potatoes, and casserole type dishes. They are the major ingredient in Scandinavian flatbread. Some varieties are better for specific purposes than others, such as red potatoes, which are best for boiling, and russets, which are best for frying and baking. Now just cleaning up the leftover potato peeling skins, which we can either use as compost or deep fry them into potato chips. Now just taking off the excess pieces of the skin that the potato peeler failed to take off before we start to slice. When selecting a potato, choose those that are firm and plump, avoiding those potatoes that have shriveled skins, sprouting eyes, soft spots, blemishes, and green spots. Now we will slice our potato into thin slices, but not too thin, but just thin enough there for it to cook and bake. Again, be careful when you're slicing potatoes. You are using a sharp knife. Do not want to cut yourself. When storing potatoes, store them in a cool, dry place at room temperature for up to 2 weeks and longer when stored in cooler temperatures. If potatoes are purchased in a plastic bag, remove them in a bag and place them in a basket or other type of container so they will have the proper air circulation. A paper bag will be better than a plastic because the plastic will tend to trap moisture. Pushing the potatoes aside, we're going to come out and we're going to cut our green onion. The recipe calls for cutting both the white and green pieces of the onion into smaller pieces. Do not store potatoes in the refrigerator because its cold temperatures will convert the starches into sugar and potato will become sweet and turn a dark color when cooked. Do not store potatoes with onions either. The gas given off by the onions will accelerate the decay of the potatoes. Pushing the green onions aside, we're next going to take out a sprig of thyme and we'll mince that up. Again, using a very sharp knife as opposed to a chopper. We just do a fine chopping up the thyme into smaller pieces. If you ever wonder how cooking with herbs and onions and spices with vegetables help with the flavoring, well, let me tell you that matching the herbs and spices to vegetables helps you to enhance the best features of the vegetables flavor, in addition to providing a nice complement to any dish. However, with a plethora of options available, it is difficult to know where to start. If you're up to a little experimentation, get ready for your taste buds to be wowed. Now we're going to mix up our dough for our flatbread, which in this case we're using the same recipe that we did for our Chicago pizza style dough. Same simple recipe, including flour, baking powder, salt, and milk. Roughly about 2 cups of flour. You can also reduce it down to cut it in half if you want to. But about 2 cups of flour, tablespoon of baking powder, teaspoon of salt, and a cup of milk. The difference between cooking with baking powder, baking soda, and yeast. Baked goods are often include ingredients that help the final product rise, which is also called leaven. To get the cake, bread, muffin, or whatever to rise, you need to add something to the batter to produce a gas that gets caught in the dough and causing an explosion. Carbon dioxide is a good gas for this and easy to produce with food-safe ingredients. You'll find recipes calling for baking powder, baking soda, and yeast, or even some combination of those, to aid and help with the rising and the leavening. Which ingredients you use and the combination will affect the taste and textures. And here are the real differences. With yeast is an organism called a fungus that, when activated, consumes the sugars in the flour and releases carbon dioxide as waste. When making a traditional slow bread, you combine it with flour, sugar, some liquid, and other ingredients. When you knead the dough, the proteins inside the stretchy matrix called gluten form. The matrix traps the gas bubbles produced by yeast. Without a leavening agent like yeast, you end up with a dense blob that works better as a building material instead of bread. The yeast produces gas when you let the dough rest for a while after kneading. It then expands once heated in the oven. Once your ball of gas-filled gluten gets hot enough, it sets into the spongy, fluffy structure we call bread. You notice that breaking bread takes a while due to this waiting for the yeast to work. We have some faster alternatives that instead rely on a chemical reaction between an acid and a base to produce carbon dioxide. Baking soda, which is also called sodium bicarbonate, it will react with a liquid acidic ingredient to produce carbon dioxide. You can see this for yourself when you add vinegar and baking soda in a small bowl. It'll start to fizz immediately after adding vinegar. Because this reaction is so fast, foods made with baking soda must be cooked immediately after mixing. It's great for making pancakes fluffier, using baking powder fluffier, but you gotta put it on the griddle right away. If you let it rest or the batter set aside for too long, like 30 minutes, then it'll come out very dense and gummy. Baking soda does add some flavor and color to the pancakes, muffins, and cookings by hastening browning. Baking powder is essentially baking soda mixed with a starch and powdered acid. Activating the reaction to generate carbon dioxide requires adding a liquid like water, and most baking powders are double acting, which means that they produce gas when moisture is added and again produce it when it's heated. This means that goods leavened with baking powder tend to be higher, lighter, and fluffier compared to foods leavened with only baking soda. Substituting baking powder with baking soda is possible, but the final product won't be the same since it won't have the extra acidic ingredient that baking powder brings. Now we're going to pour our dough out onto a lightly floured surface, and we are going to knead the dough into show some elasticity. This actually helps with the dough in the baking process. Just checking the dimensions of the pan that we are going to bake our flatbread in, and we're going to flour the bottom of it. Checking the dimension. And then we are going to roll out our dough into a square enough, and then finish with the molding into the bottom of the pan. Now we actually put the dough in the pan, and we're actually going to finish stretching the dough to fit the bottom of the pan. Now we're getting our veggies ready to place in the pan, putting in a bowl, putting our green onions in first, and our thyme, and then putting in our potatoes along with our oil, and we're going to mix up everything together, coating it with the oil. Adding in the oil to our veggies. We're going to thoroughly mix this, ensuring that the oil is coated on all of the veggies, all potatoes, and everything thoroughly mixed. Now we're ready to add our veggies to our flatbread. Instead of scattering it, we're actually going to arrange the potato slices around the flatbread, getting full coverage. And then we'll go ahead and then add remaining veggies, the green onions with the thyme over the top of the potatoes. The last ingredients are we're going to sprinkle some grated Parmesan cheese over the top of the veggies, ensuring full coverage to give it a type of cheesy, crusty topping. Placing our flatbread and veggies in our preheated oven and setting the timer. While our bread is cooking, we are mixing up our greens, and we just took a regular package of lettuce or cut salad, packaged lettuce, and go serving package, and we're just going to mix up about an eighth of a cup of honey mustard salad dressing is what I use, and just thoroughly coat the dressing over the greens. Go ahead dumping the greens in our bowl. And then pouring about an eighth of a cup of honey mustard, or any salad dressing that you like, but honey mustard gives a little tangy feeling, tangy taste, over the greens. And then we will thoroughly mix the greens, coating all the greens to ensure a good even coat of mixing all the greens. Just toss around. It's almost like a little tossed salad, and we just using two spoons to ensure a thorough coverage of the salad dressing over the greens. our bread is done now, and we're going to bring it out and take a look. That the bread is done, I've taken it out of the pan and put the bread on a pizza plate so I can easily cut it into squares. So this looks like it's larger than a single serving. The pieces are small, and I do like to have seconds or thirds on it. But came out very thick. You can always cut the dough in half, putting in a cup of flour, half cup of milk, and about half a tablespoon of baking powder, and you can produce about half this size if you need to. But it looks very steamy, it looks very good. Now to get the plate and plate it. And while I use cow's milk for the milk, this can be a totally 100% vegan meal by substituting your cow's milk for soy milk or almond milk or another liquid to satisfy the vegan requirement. And there you have your Leek's and potato bread with screens and mustard, honey mustard salad dressing.